Hello and welcome everyone to the first road edition of the YouTube live stream broadcast of San Antonio Christian taking on the Cole Cougars. Very, very wet matchup. My cameraman Brian Campbell and I are actually inside in a booth this time. Going to be a little crowded, working with a few other people in here as well, but we're staying dry and we're able to get you the game. So that's all that matters. So if you hear some background noise, please bear with us. It's just going to be some people moving around to make sure that they can see just as well as we can. Should be an interesting matchup tonight. The Lions trying to earn their first win. Lost the season opener to Central Catholic last week against Bandera. The game ultimately ended in a tie due to a weather. It was rained out in the third or fourth quarter is when they decided to end the game. And so we're in for a wet game tonight, but hopefully all we have to deal with is rain and not lightning, which causes the actual delays. I will say I do like the booth because I don't have to worry about wind. Lions coming out for the coin toss. And having to broadcast through a window, it's going to be hard to make out who is who, but hopefully shouldn't be too bad. So the Cougars won the toss and deferred. So it'll be Lions offense we see first. And folks, as some of our camera shots look a little blurry, that is not on Brian. That is because we are having to shoot this again inside a booth through glass that is wet from the condensation outside. So them just come up a little blurry. It's not because he is not focusing the camera. And I talked to Coach Elliott earlier this week, and I asked him, you know, there's a possibility you guys might face another weather delay with this matchup. And I asked him if there was anything that he would maybe approach differently if faced with another one. And he said, no, it's just keeping the guys focused and focused on what they need to do. And hopefully now that having experienced that last week, if they do ultimately wind up in a weather delay, they'll know how to be able to handle it and come out firing, unlike last week, which, I mean, weather delays just, they throw off everyone's rhythm. The Lions are actually driving, weather delay is called, finally get back on the field, they go 4 and out. So they can really disrupt the rhythm, but hopefully if that does happen, the Lions are going to be able to bounce back. And it looks like Isaac Gonzalez is going to be set to kick for the Cougars. With Brandon Richard and Caleb Durham in the backfield to return for the Lions. And let's play football. Coming out to the 20. Still on his feet, trying to bounce around. Gets to the 30. And finally pushed out of bounds at the 41-yard line. That was Caleb Durham on the return. So the Lions take over at their 41. Again, last week, game rained out but ended scoreless, so that one resulted in a tie. And the story last week was the Lions' offense would get moving, and then a penalty or something would draw them back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But Lions look to correct those mistakes this week. Satcher in the gun, tosses to his running backs, and it's a reverse to Richard. He's got some space upfield. He gets the first down. Finally knocked it out of bounds at the Cougar 45-yard line. Lions coming out with some trickery right out of the gate. First and 10 for the Lions. He motions Durham. Flag on the play. So it's false start on the Lions. Remember what I said last week, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. So far the Lions picking up right where they left off. Lions now back up to the 50-yard line. First and 15. Pass to Richard. Moving upfield, gets to the 40. Richard on the screen pass. Brings it up to the 39-yard line. Second down and 4. And it looks like they're going to be moving back once again. So we've had positive play, penalty, positive play, penalty for the Lions so far. And the one thing to think about too, though, is when you have a game like this where you don't know, is it going to be canceled? What's the weather going to be like? You know it's going to be bad. It really can be hard for sometimes the players to mentally prepare because they're wondering if they're going to play a full game or not. Gives it to his running back. Tries to make something out of nothing. And he'll get back to the line of scrimmage. So 3rd and 9 for the Lions. Nick Patterson backs up into the backfield. Fakes the handoff. He finds Richard. And he's taken down immediately at the... Depends on where they spot him, if they got the first down or not. And they give it to him. So Lions able to pick up the first down, even though facing 2 false start penalties that backed them up. Richard at the bottom of your screen, Caleb Durham at the top. Hands it to Bates, and he is met immediately by a wall of green jerseys. They might give him a yard on the play. Just barely. 2nd down and 9 coming up for the Lions. And hands it off. Once again, the run game just getting swarmed. That was Chris Hilliard on the carry, finally seeing some game action after missing the first 2. So loss of 1 on the run play brings up 3rd down and 10. Going to Durham. And he is unable to hold on. Not a bad spot by quarterback Grant Satcher on that play. Durham just unable to come up with it. But it looks like the Lions are going to go for it. Satcher drops back. Looking for Durham again, and he's unable to connect. So the Cougars will take over after the failed 4th down conversion by the Lions. So on that drive, the Lions' passing game, for the most part, worked, but their run game was just not able to generate much offense. Cougars taking over at the 34. Takes the handoff, and he is swarmed by a herd of Lions taking down the running back. Jason Brooks was the running back on the play, and he lost 2 on the run. Hands it off to Brooks again, making a guy miss. Still on his feet. Finally tackled. Brought down at the 42-yard line. Brings up 3rd down and 3. Fakes the handoff, and quarterback keeps it. And he is not able. He might have gotten back to the original line of scrimmage, but that is it. So the Lions defense forced the 3-and-out as the Cougars set to punt. Durham and Richard back to return it. And that's going to go to Richard, who has speed, but he gets out at the 40-yard line. Lions take over. I think the quarterback for Cole is number 3. I think so. But on the roster, he's not. He's listed as a receiver. Throws it out to Patterson and hits Patterson in the hands, and he's not able to come up with the reception. Got to wonder if Patterson was getting ready to run before he actually caught the ball. That's something that can happen to just any receiver running back wanting to get going on the run, and they forget to catch the ball first. 2nd down and 10. Satcher under center. And he hands it off. Still moving. Gain of about 3 on the play.
They're spotting it on the 42, call it.
A 2-yard gain on the play. 3rd down and 8. Again, the Lions not able to generate much on the ground so far. Roll out to his right. And he'll throw this one away. So 4th down and 8. Lions will have to punt. Satcher staying on the field, but I think he's going to punt this one. Kick is away. And gets a good roll. It's going to be downed at the 9-yard line. So Cole taking over at the 9-yard line. Moni Crawford in at quarterback. He hands it off. He gave it to Brooks on that carry. Number 2. Yeah. Hands it off again.
I can actually see numbers. Ball carrier was number 2. Ball is now on call it the 16.
So 3rd down for the Cougars. Looks to throw. He's got a man wide open. And finally brought down at the Lion 19-yard line. And that was Malik Hatch on the reception for the Cougars. Big play. Excuse me. Ball on the 28-yard line. Crawford hands it off to Brooks. He's finally thrown down. It was Connor Shorp on the tackle for the Lions. The Lions are going to take a timeout. Defense overall, besides the big pass play, has done a very good job containing this Cougar offense. And again, the visibility through these windows, folks, is really starting to become a factor here.
I tell you what, I'm finding that the lower window is a lot clearer. You might want to try to, if you can get it down into this area, it's way better than the upper window. I don't know if it's allow you to get the angle you want.
That's the only issue, is that it won't.
A lot clearer. I mean, I couldn't see hardly a thing from up top.
So Crawford in the gun. Brooks is running back. Fakes it to Brooks. Fires. Has a man open, but not able to connect. He was looking for Damian Legaspi on that play. Just a touch high. Oh, low snap. Able to recover it. Escapes the tackle, but brought down by Caleb Durham.
Tackled by number 1, and he is at 20.
So Crawford able to avoid what would have been a huge loss and make something out of nothing on that play. The Cougars are staying on the field and as they are going for it on 4th down. It's 4th and 3. Another low snap, and the Lions swarm him right away. And the ball's on the ground, but they're going to say he was down before the ball came out. But back-to-back low snaps. The Lions were able to capitalize on that one. So turnover on downs. And here comes the Lion offense. So Lions taking over at the 27-yard line. If only we had a third helper on the broadcast with me and Brian, he can go ahead and squeegee the windows. So Satcher under center. Motions Cale Odom. Excuse me, that was Josh Abati on, who was the motion man on that play. So Lions able to pick up 3 yards on the play, so it'll be 2nd down and 7. Satcher under center. And he's able to finally get some things going. And that, folks, I think is the longest run play of the night for the Lions. Lions desperately trying to get that run game going. Hilliard starting to get things going now, again, after missing the first 2 games of the season. And holding on the Lions is going to push them back. So the Lions pick up the first down, but the penalty is going to negate that, and you have 2nd down and 10. Satcher motions Patterson. Gives it to Hilliard, and he is met immediately in the backfield. Again, just a wall of green jerseys waiting for him. And that's going to end the first quarter tied 0-0. Lions defense only giving up 1 big play. Meanwhile, the Lions offense has struggled again with penalties. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. I think the coaches were originally in there, but they decided to go down on the field. Decent sized crowd, all things considered with the weather. Braving the elements here. So here come the Lions to start the 2nd quarter. 3rd down and 10. It's Cale Odom down to the bottom of your screen. Trips at the top. Pump fakes it. Gives it to Durham. And he's knocked out of bounds at the about the 32-yard line. He was knocked out at the 30, excuse me. And that's going to bring up 4th down. Will the Lions go for it, or is Satcher's just going to punt it away? Kick is up. And Malik Hatch just lets this one go. And it looks like the Cougars will take over at the 26-yard line. Excuse me, 27. Crawford at quarterback. Brooks in the backfield. Motions Hatch. Gives it to Brooks. And he is wrapped up. Taken down by... taken down by Connor Shorp. Gain of about 3, so that'll bring up 2nd down and 7. Gives it to Brooks. And he's met in the backfield. That'll be a loss. And he was taken down by number 56, Tanner Bates. So loss of 3 on the run. Brings up 3rd down and 10 for the Cougars. Brooks drops back. Avoids the rush, steps up to throw. Looks, has a man open. He's got his man. And taken down just before the 10-yard line. That was number 7, Legaspi. So now that's 2 big plays that the Cougars have been able to make, and large part was Crawford getting outside the pocket and finding the man open deep. So it's going to be 1st and goal. Crawford kept it. Gains of about 3 on the keeper. You know, I said I liked the booth, but to be honest, I like being at the very top of the press box. I can see a whole lot better. Crawford rolls out to his right, avoids the rush again. Now he's going to keep it, and he will. Will he score? Touchdown. Touchdown, Cougars. Crawford decides to keep it. So the Lions are going to have to adjust now to him rolling outside the pocket, because that's 3 plays where they have been able to either score or pick up a huge gain with Crawford rolling outside the pocket. Kick is up. And it's good. So with 8:59 remaining in the half, Cougars lead 7-0. So Lions again had to, on their last offensive drive, had to punt, but they had picked up the first down, but because of a holding call that negated it, and they weren't able to convert. Almost every drive so far by the Lions has ended largely in part because of penalties. And again, I talked to Coach Ellard earlier this week, and he said between the Central Catholic game and the Bandera game, they actually did improve and cut down on the penalties, which they did, but that has not been the case so far tonight. And oh, it's a short kick, able to recover. Guess the Cougars tried to catch the Lions offside, not offsides, but off guard. And I don't know if that was deliberate or the ball just because of the weather wasn't a good kick, but Lions able to jump on it. So excellent field position for the Lions, starting at the 50-yard line, right at midfield. Hilliard in the backfield with Satcher. Fakes the handoff, drops back, and trips up. Satcher trying to escape the rush, and it looks like he tripped over his own feet there on the play. It looked like he was ready to go. He was ready to fire, and then he held back on it. Pressure closing in. And Satcher is a guy that when you give him time, he can make some great plays downfield, and he's very good getting outside the pocket too, keeping his eyes downfield. Screenplay to Richard. Making guys miss, picking up. Well, he doesn't pick up the first down, but he's able to get to the original line of scrimmage. It looks like he was actually knocked out of bounds a few yards back. So 3rd down and long for the Lions. Again, normally it's a 7-yard pickup and you're faced with 3rd and 3 instead of 3rd and 13. But again, penalties are just killing the Lions right now. Fakes the motion, finds his receiver, and he gets back to the original line of scrimmage on that play, but there is a flag down. And the flag is on the Lions. But the Cougars are going to decline the penalty, and they're going to take the loss of. They're going to take the Lions being at 4th down and 10. Satcher's going to punt this one again. Gets it up. And takes a good Lions bounce. And they're going to down it at the 3-yard line. Really, really good punt by Grant Satcher on that play. And if you're Coach Ellard, your defense has done a pretty decent job again. They've only given up really 3 big plays. The two long passes and the touchdown. But other than that, they have held the Cougars relatively in check. So now with the punt gives them the long field that they're going to have to take it 97 yards if they want to score. Again, Lions, if you take away those big plays, solid defense by the Lions. And Brooks looks like he picked up about 3 on the carry. Jorgensen on the tackle. Jorgensen, a safety, coming up and stopping the run. Talking about going after the ball. Low snap again. Crawford able to pick it up. Still on his feet, stumbling forward, and he'll go down at about the 13-yard line. I think he's going to be near the first down, and it looks like, yes, he did pick it up. Cougars again with the low snaps. Eventually, the Lions are going to be back there, and they're going to be the ones that scoop it up. So first down and 10. Again, low snap, but he's able to get it off to Brooks, and no, he kept it. Had the defense fooled and had me fooled. That'll bring up second down and 1. Second down and 1. Gives it to Brooks, who is met right there. Who's met right in the backfield. He will lose a couple on the play. It's a good defensive stop for the Lions. Forcing the third down. So third down for the Cougars. Crawford rolling out now. And he'll throw this one away. So the Lions able to negate the big play. As Crawford again rolling outside the pocket. He's been successful so far. Lions defense making sure everything downfield was covered to where there wasn't a man open. Crawford just had to throw it away. Guadalupe Gonzalez back to punt. Takes a decent roll. But the Lions are going to get the ball at about the 45-yard line. So they're officially going to spot it at the 43. Again, really good effort tonight so far by the Lions defense. And normally I would say the offense needs to really get a drive going, sustain a drive, so you can give your defense some rest. Well, a lot of these guys are playing both ways, so it really doesn't matter. But regardless, the Lions do need to get their offense going in this one and not have drives stopped by penalties. Satcher tosses out to Hillard. Excuse me, that was Caleb Durham on the toss. And he gets out at about the 47-yard line. Officially marking it at the 48. Bringing up 2nd down and 5. Satcher in center. Durham in the backfield. Tosses it to Durham. Cuts upfield. And he looks like he tripped up on that play. It looked like he had a little bit of room, then slipped. So on the run, Durham actually lost a yard, so it'll be 3rd down and 6. Satcher was looking for Cale Odom on that play. I don't know if Odom and Satcher weren't on the same page, because Odom didn't look like he was expecting the football. Odom transferring in from Smithson Valley. And Satcher again with the punt. And that's going to roll to the 20-yard line. So 1st and 10 for the Cougars. Ball on the 20-yard line. So far, the weather has been, let's just say it could be worse, folks. So far, no weather delays, able to get this game rolling. So Crawford drops back, firing deep downfield, and Hatch has it, and Brandon Richard able to finally take him down inside the 25, and that was an acrobatic catch by Hatch. It looked like Josh Morales was gonna break it up, but it looked like Josh Morales was gonna have the breakup, but Hatch just able to keep his eyes on the ball. And the Lions are going to take another timeout. And that was a spectacular catch again by Hatch. Morales was in the right position. He was right there. And again, I thought it was going to be a pass breakup, but Hatch is able to keep his eyes on the ball and come up with a reception and ultimately the big play. Josh Morales. So 3:36 left to go in the half. Crawford again with the low snap, decides to keep it, still going upfield, and is finally tackled out of bounds at the 15-yard line. Excuse me, it's going to be at the 18. It's going to be 2nd down and 5 for the Cougars. Just under 3 minutes left to play in the first half. Cougars in scoring position. Flag down. And it's on the Cougars. So that will back them up. It was a false start, and I want to say that's the first penalty against the Cougars tonight. So 2:44 remaining. Cougars up 7-0. Currently driving. Lions defense trying to force a stop here. Give their offense the ball back with enough time to hopefully put some points on the points on the board. So he hands it off to Brooks, and he is swarmed up by Connor Shorp. What a play. And the real significance about that is that now they're more than likely pushed out of field goal range. This makes you wonder if they are unable to convert on this play, will they decide to go for it on 4th down? Again, they're kind of in that no man's land. It's too close to punt. Crawford drops back. Now he steps up. Still on his feet. Still going. And knocked out of bounds at the 17-yard line. So able to make up for some lost ground, but not able to get the first down. So 4th down. Now it's a 4th down and manageable. Let's see what the Cougars decide to do. And they're going to go for it. Crawford in the gun. Drops back. Now he steps up. Able to get it. He's got room in the corner. Touchdown, Cougars. Crawford able to drop back, then see the open lane and step up and deciding to take off. But there is a flag down. Let's see if that will negate the touchdown. And it will. Holding on the Cougars. Cougars still electing to go for it. Rolls out, pitches it to Brooks. And he gets pushed out of bounds at the looks at the 20. Let's see if the 15. So Cougars unable to convert. So the Lions are going to get the ball back with just under a minute and a half remaining in this ball game. So the Cougars had a chance to go up by 2 scores. Penalties negated, holding penalty negated that. So the Lions now only down 7, minute 27 remaining, but they only have 1 timeout. And the Lions will use their final timeout. And as always, I have to give a shout out to my cameraman, Brian Campbell, working with a different camera this week as opposed to our previous 2 weeks. And he'll take whatever I give him and he rolls with it and never complains, which is awesome because I know if I was in his position, I probably would complain a little bit. But doing an excellent job, as always. And again, having to try to get a quality shot, but you're having to do it through a window. So 1st and 10. Ball is at the 15. No timeouts left. 1:27. Satcher now rolling out. Fires. And he got his man. That's number 80, Nick Patterson. Lions able to move the chains, and that should temporarily stop the clock, I believe. Again, Satcher able to roll out and keep his eyes downfield until his tight end got open. Able to pick up the first down. Patterson now motions to the backfield. Satcher scrambling. And that one is a dangerous throw. Could have been intercepted, but instead the ball lands safely on the ground. It looks like Satcher was just trying to get that ball away, but the defender, again, right there in his face. So 2nd down and 10 with 50 seconds remaining. Satcher drops back. And he was looking for Caleb Durham on that play. And I'm not entirely sure they were on the same page. Or maybe the ball just came out of Satcher's hands. A little awkward, again, because of the rain. And folks, I'm curious if they're going to shorten the halftime because, again, because of the weather, not wanting to risk getting caught in a weather delay. I will let you know once I know something. So he hands it to his running back, Bates, who is taken down immediately. So the clock has stopped. And now it's running again. And the Cougars are going to take their first time out of the half with 32 seconds remaining. So the Lions defensively have been able to keep this Cougar offense at bay, again, with the exception of a few big plays. But other than that, very good job from this Lions defense. Meanwhile, the Lions offense, they have struggled, and it looks like some of the receivers and Satcher are just not on the same page on some plays. The run game has just not been able to really they have not been able to get anything going on the ground. And on a few drives, they've had penalties that have pushed them back when they should have been going forward. high snap, and they're able to pull it down. Satcher gives off a good punt. It's a little bit of a roll. And good job by Satcher, again, bringing down that football as it almost went over his head. Last week against Bandera, there was a couple of high snaps that he did a good job of pulling down because if they go over his head, more than likely Bandera is getting the football. And in that situation, that could have been a huge play for the Cougars if he doesn't bring that football down. So 1st and 10 at the 45-yard line. There's 30 seconds left in this ball game. Cougars have had success deep. Let's see if they try a couple of deep balls now. It looks like they will. And Crawford is thrown down on the play, and that is number 3, Chris Hilliard. Again, Hilliard, a guy gone 2 weeks, finally getting back out. He was gone because of injury. He's in the first 2 games, but getting in there both as a running back and on the defensive side. Good to have him back making plays. And that'll do it for the first half. Cougars go into halftime up 7-0. And it looks like
What do you boys want to eat and drink?
I don't know. What do they have?
I have no idea. Tell me what you like, and I'll look for it. If they don't, I'll get something.
I'll just do a hot dog and a water.
Hot dog and water. I'll do nachos and Sprite. Nachos and Sprite. All right.
Thank you.
We're not paying for that, right?
Well, I don't have any cash, so. So it looks like they're going to do the traditional 20-minute halftime. I know last week against Bandera, because of the earlier weather delay, they decided to forego the traditional, and it was only about 20. It was only about 7 minutes, if my memory serves me correctly. So so they're going to have a 28-minute halftime here, and so just some halftime stats to go over. Very one-sided as the Cougars have 46 rushing yards as opposed to the Lions 0. Like I've said, they've tried to get the run game going, and on some of the plays where it has been successful, they've been negated by penalties. Passing yards, Lions only have 49. Cougars, meanwhile, have 174. So total yards, 49 to 220. But the amazing part of all that is, even though the stats are that lopsided, Lions are only down by 7. They put together a nice drive, get some points on the board. Again, they're right in this game. They're right in this ball game. Nothing to panic about. But they've got to start running the football. I mean, 0 rushing yards. That is hard to believe. The Lions are 2 of 7 on third downs. Meanwhile, the Cougars are 3 of 6. Average yards per play, 8 yards as opposed to the Lions' 2. Now, I will say, if you take away if you take away the big plays, the 3 or 4 big plays by the Cougars, these stats are a lot similar and not as lopsided. I think a huge part of that is just those 3 really big plays down the field that have made these stats look so lopsided, because the Cougars are not getting 8 yards of play most of this game. They've gotten over 8 yards 3 times. So the Lions managed 1 sack. Meanwhile, Cole High School has 2 fourth down conversions. Lions are 0 for 1. Meanwhile, Cole Cougars 1 for 3. And really, I think the stat that shows more how evenly this game really is the first downs. Cole has 11, San Antonio Christian has 8. And really, their drives have been very similar. With the exception of those big plays, both teams just aren't moving the ball. They're not moving the ball for whatever reason. The Lions defense has done a great job with the exception of those few plays, and the Cole defense they've done a good job, and the Lions have also just shot themselves in the foot. I know it's cliche, but you're going 1 step forward, 2 steps back. They had the problem a little bit last week. They've gotten better, but to start their first drive started off with positive play, penalty, positive play, penalty. Those were the first 4 plays of the game. And if I'm the Lions, I really think going back to those screens with Brandon Richard on the outside, because you're getting 4 or 5 yards of play off of those. The biggest thing is you just can't have the holding penalties that bring you back after the fact. So if I'm the Lions, I go back to those short screen plays. But the thing is, they do have to run the football, and the reason that they have to keep trying to run the football is they want to keep the defense honest. If the Cougars make the Lions one-dimensional, all they can have to worry about is defending the pass, because they have the run game stopped. And I don't think the Lions they're not going to abandon the run game, because they know they have to keep that defense honest. So Grant Satcher completing 6 of 13 passes. Meanwhile, Yamoni Crawford, quarterback for the Cougars, 3 of 5. And again, those 3 completions are those 3 big plays downfield. A couple of them were blown coverages. There was the one where Josh Morales, the cornerback, thought he had the pass breakup, but Malik Hatch, the receiver, just able to make an acrobatic catch. So, about 22 minutes remaining at the half. Again, and I apologize for just how dark the lighting is for the game, but it's that dark right now. And they have the stadium lights on. I think they're trying to get them to brighten up, but just with the dark clouds from the weather, it's just really dark out there, and there really isn't anything we can do. But incredibly, the rain has really held off. Now, it might have been raining a little bit more earlier. Again, Brian Campbell and I in a booth tonight, which we are so grateful for. Otherwise, we would not be able to give you this live stream, because I told the coaches just before when they were warming up, I said, right now with this weather, I just can't do it. Their area for filming above the press box, yes, it's covered, but it's it's good if the rain's coming straight down, but it was coming down sideways, and so you were covered, but you still really weren't covered. So thankfully there was an empty booth for us to use, which has been such a blessing, such a blessing for us tonight. And we know hopefully the rain, the rainy games will subside here after this week, and from here on out, we'll be good to go. No matter what we'll be good to go whether we're inside, outside, because the weather conditions are going to be great. So 20 minutes left in the halftime. Again, I'm really impressed with how well this Lions defense has been able to stop the run. 20 rushes for 46 yards. They're averaging 2.3 yards a carry. You can, and for the Lions, that's huge, because against Central Catholic, against Bandera, Bandera they improved, but in the Central game they were just over. They were run all over. Their defense, and so now just a huge plus to see the Lions defense really able to hunker down and finally control and stop the run. And man, when Yamoni Crawford, the quarterback for the Cougars, he every time he rolls out, there is a Lions defender right there, and it's always there, just barely short. And I'm telling you, eventually one of these plays, a Lions defender is going to catch up to him. Towards the end of the half, they were doing a better job. At least they were covering downfield to where he wasn't able to find an open man and had to throw it away. So really good, really solid first half for this Lions defense. Again, they gave up a few plays, but they were able to tighten up when the Cougars were in the red zone when they needed to. Only down 7. The defense has done their job for the first half. Now the offense really needs to get out there, and they need to start contributing, because even if because the defense has done their job, but you know at some point in this game there's going to be another big play by the Cougars. So the Lions offense needs to get things going so they can match them and ultimately jump ahead. So earlier in the week on my weekly coaches show with Coach Ellard, I talked to him about how next week the Lions, they have a bye. It's retreat week for all the high school students. And I asked him, how do you keep these guys really focused on the task ahead when they know, hey, right after this, we're off for a week? And, what he told me, this team is going through a lot right now emotionally, as one of their teammates, Grayson Russell, he's in the hospital right now, and so they've really kind of dedicated this game and this season to him, and they've coined the phrase. The football team has started to coin the phrase "War Lion," and the reason behind that is Grayson Russell, his brother Evan Russell, both their parents were Auburn alums, and they live and breathe Auburn and Lions football. So they decided to coin the phrase "War Lions," similar to the Auburn phrase "War Eagle," and it's just something that they have really, really embraced. And amazingly, so last night, the JV game, opening play, opening offensive play for the Lions is a pass out to the receiver, and then that receiver throws it downfield. Evan Russell was the receiver who scored that touchdown, first play for the Lions, and then the final play of the game was a pick six for Evan. One of the parents watching the game last night said he scored 2 touchdowns. He scored 1 for himself and 1 for his brother. It's just one of those moments where you couldn't script a better moment like that. So thoughts and prayers definitely go out to Grayson Russell and his family. And just being in the situation where you're basically 0-2 going into your third game right before retreat week. You have a teammate hospitalized. Brings me back a little bit to my senior year. We were 0-2 going into our third game. We were playing Blanco, and that week, that Wednesday, we had a player go down with a knee injury, and we really kind of rallied behind that and made that the focus point, and playing for him. And that's what this team is trying to do right now for Grayson Russell. And so I know it's a bit of a different situation, but it just brings me back to that moment for me. So this Lions team just been through a lot emotionally right now. And again, as I said earlier, when you have these games where you know it's going to rain, but you don't know how badly it's going to rain or how long it's going to rain for, when it looks like, hey, we probably should cancel this or the game is going to get canceled. It's so hard if that's your mindset to get out of that mindset and get focused and ready to play a game. And just even as a broadcaster, most of today I'm thinking, well, are we going to play? What are we going to do if it rains? Because, and again, I'm thinking we weren't going to have the chance to be in a booth, and if it was raining bad enough, well, we weren't going to be out here. So, what am I going to do? There's a lot of things that weather can just play weather like this can be such a big factor in not so much the actual like physical play, but the mental game.
Water, I believe.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I got a couple of different. These are regular hot dogs, and this is chili cheese. Which kind do you like? Let's do regular. Regular? Okay. Let's see.
Remind me your name again.
Court
Court
Allen.
Court Allen.
Yep. My son is Joel Allen. He's injured right now. He's just kind of helping on the sideline. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Sorry about all the outside talking, folks. That was Court Allen, who his son Joe Allen is a member of the Lions team. He's helping running stats, and he was nice enough to go and get me and Brian something to eat and drink during halftime because we still have 11 minutes to go. But just want to give him a big shout out and thank you for being so kind. And folks, I was just made aware that you can actually see our camera in the reflection. Um, again, you can see the camera slightly in the broadcast, and again, that's because we're having to shoot it through a window because we're in a booth for the game tonight, and it's the light reflecting in the back of the booth. There was a way to turn the lights off without turning off the lights in every room. I would do it, but I don't know, and I don't want to be known as that guy who turned all the lights off on everyone. So again, just bear with us, folks. Like I said, hopefully from here on out the weather will be nice, and so Brian and I can be outside where it's clear. Brian can get more tied up shots. I can see more clearly. So again, it's again we're learning as we go along. Normally, in a situation or a broadcast like this, for the ones that you watch on TV, your play-by-play commentators, the cameras that are broadcasting the games, they're outside, and if it's raining, well, they're waterproof and they have rain covers on, and they're durable, and so they're in a booth to where that's not something that it's not an issue. Excuse me, the glare and all that, you would never see that, but we are merely the victims of our situation, but we are making the best of it. Again, just it's I know the I know the video looks dark, but just outside it looks very dark. Like darker than you would expect a typical game to be, at least in my opinion. Of course, my shoes and socks are soaking wet from earlier when it was really coming down pretty hard, and thankfully it has seemed to subsided as now looking out to the stands, a lot of people that were originally wearing jackets now have their jackets off or their umbrellas down, which is good for us because now we don't have to fight with someone that's up at the top underneath the press box with their umbrella sticking up in the window. I'll never forget I was sitting in a press box for a TCU game, and someone who had a seat just underneath where the press box windows were was turned around and just waving at everyone, just waving at everyone, having a good old time. Thankfully, we haven't had any of those yet. I'm actually surprised. I was going to expect someone to have looked in and waved, mainly because I probably would have been that person when I was younger. So the Lions have taken the field. They've started to warm up a little bit. We have just under 7 minutes to go before the second half. Again, Lions down 7. Lions down 7-0. It's been, if you look at the stats, one-sided, but you take away the 3 real big plays made by the Cougars, it's a much more even. The game is much more evenly matched.
I think that's really funny that they can see the camera in the reflection. You think that one turns out football? I mean, I'm sure it doesn't, but I just like, I don't want to risk it.
Welcome back out to the Lions in San Antonio. Let's bring out your Robert G. goalkeeper.
You know the game already started, right? Okay. I just want to make sure.
Can't hear you.
Welcome back, everyone. For those just joining us, about to start the second half as the Lions taking on the Cole Cougars. Cougars currently up 7-0, but Lions defense, with the exception of a couple plays, has really held this Cole offense in check. Meanwhile, the Lions offense, 0 rushing yards in the first half. That's something that is going to need to be addressed. And the Cole High School has over 200 yards of total offense. Meanwhile, the Lions are sitting at 49. But again, if you take away the 3 big plays Cole had in the first half, stats much more evenly matched. So the Cougars won the toss but deferred, so they are going to get the ball here to start the second half. And the second half is underway, and it is a short kick. Lions looks like they were trying to try the onside. Lions look like they were trying to go for the onside and maybe catch the Cole Cougars napping, but Cole able to bounce on the loose ball. And again, I know our viewers can slightly see our cameraman Brian Campbell, but again, we're in a booth. We're typically not, and we start off the second half with the flag. See what the call is. Delay of game on the Cougars, so that'll back them up 5 yards. Now they'll be faced with 1st and 15. not ideal to start the second half, coming out of a timeout, starting off the game with the delay of game penalty. So, hands it off to Brooks. And he's able to get upfield and finally taken down. And he'll get back to about the original line of scrimmage. He'll get back to about the original line of scrimmage, actually just a few yards short. So he'll be down at the 40-yard line. And bring up second down and 13. Picks up 2. Crawford drops back to throw and is able to escape a defender. Escapes a couple more, still on his feet. And he can run, folks. And he is finally pushed out of bounds at the 28-yard line. Again, several Lions there, just unable to make a play. So Crawford back in the gun. Hands it off to his running back. Slips a couple tackles. Has a lane, and he is going to score. That was Guadalupe Gonzalez on the touchdown for the Cougars. There's an injured Lion down on the field. Trying to see who it is that is down. And that is number 2, Garrett Bates. And he is able to walk off the field on his own power, so that is a good sign. This is one of the main running backs in these last 2 games. So the Cougars setting up for the extra point. And there was a personal foul called on the Lions. Oh, ball's on the field. So Lions pick it up. And that will negate the extra point. So the Cougars up 13-zip on the Lions. And going back to that personal foul call, when I was talking to Coach Ellard earlier in the week and we were talking about the penalties, he said that his biggest issue with the game last week against Bandera was the personal foul calls. He said, that's not us, so he had to address that. And it looks like there will be another penalty he's going to have to address after this game as well. All right, so we were able to turn the lights off in our booth, so hopefully that helps with the glare. And I'm almost wondering if I can go outside and wipe off the window. If I would be able to reach. I might try that here in a little bit, folks, as that water is starting to really make it difficult for Brian to get a good clear shot, as well as it is for me to see. So, Cougars kicking off at the Lions 45. Again, that goes back as the personal foul penalty was put in place on the kickoff. Squibb is it. And it's taken down at the 23-yard line. And that was 22, Evan Russell. As I mentioned at halftime, brother Grayson Russell in the hospital. Team really rallying around Grayson. Coined the name War Lion as a tribute to his parents being Auburn alums. Auburn, of course, uses the phrase War Eagle. Lions giving it their own touch. So 1st and 10 at the 22. And there was a delay game call. And Satcher giving it to Durham, and Durham going absolutely nowhere but backwards. And folks, on the next break in action, I am going to try to go out and wipe the window a little bit to hopefully clear up the picture for everyone. I know that can be frustrating. Again, that's one of the things I like about being outside. You don't have to worry about those glares. So Satcher under center. Hands it off to Hillard. Trying to escape. It looks like he just got back to the regular line of scrimmage. The original line of scrimmage. And the Lions continuing to try to run, but not getting anything really at all going on the ground. Empty backfield. Satcher, there's a flag. And the pass is short. He was looking for Patterson on that play. So the Lions will get another shot on 3rd down as there was an offsides penalty called on by the Cougars. Empty backfield. Satcher dropping back. Fires deep downfield and almost intercepted. It hit the defender right in his hands, but just did not hold on to it. Cameron O'Neal was the defender. Again, I don't know if he just wasn't expecting it or what, but hit him right square in the chest, unable to hold on. And the Lions punting away. And a good bounce for the Lions. Satcher just doing a great job punting the football. And with that quick break in action, I'm going to go try and clear up the window. I will be back to jump on headset. Well, I was able to get a little bit of the window wiped off, but I'm not that tall. Second down and long for the Cougars. Crawford finds his receiver, and he is hit immediately by Jorgensen. That's Damian Legaspi, who's the intended receiver, and he is down on the play.
Third down.
Third down and long. And he was going for Malik Hatch on that play. Looks like the Lions almost had an opportunity to intercept it. And that'll bring up fourth down. Guadalupe Gonzalez coming out to punt. Caleb Durham is back to return, but the Lions are going to take a timeout. Yeah, you're just going to have to turn it. Okay, yeah. You got it? Okay. So able to clean off the window a little bit. Again, still very dark out there, but it looks pretty dark. They're able to get the kick away. Durham letting it bounce, and then he ultimately falls on it just inside the 40. So 8 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Lions down 13-0. And they have struggled. I think struggled is an understatement when it comes to running the football tonight. Offensively in general, the Lions have really struggled in this one. Satcher drops back, avoids the rush, finds Patterson, and he'll gain about 7 yards on that reception. Satcher had a couple defenders in his face, but able to keep his eyes on his target. I thought at one point a defender was going to swat the ball down because they looked like they got awfully close to Satcher. And I think this is false start on the Lions. Yep. So now the Lions are going to face a 2nd down and 9 rather than a 2nd down and 3. Lions again trying to get that run game going. Hilliard trying to get something, but he got back to the line of scrimmage, and that was it. 3rd down and long. Again, after a decent pickup on 1st down, Lions were faced with a 2nd and short, had a false start penalty, and that backed him up. Now 3rd down and long. And hits Nick Patterson. Patterson unable to hang on. Patterson's still on the ground. Nick Patterson, tight end who has 8 Division I offers, including one to Michigan where his brother Shea is the starting quarterback, but he's able to walk off the field on his own power, and hopefully we'll see him return to the game. So the Lions were penalized for ineligible man downfield. Cougars ultimately decided to decline the penalty, and they'll bring up 4th down. Satcher going to punt. And Satcher's been able to get a really nice bounce on his punts. Let's see if he'll get another one on this one. Nope. Malik Hatch on the return. Got a couple. And they'll be at the 32-yard line. .6:14 to play in the 3rd quarter. Cougars up 13-0 on the Lions. Crawford is taken down by a herd of Lions in the backfield. In the last drive, he was able to escape a couple of those, but not that time. Not on that play. Again, he's made some good plays with his legs. Now looks to throw. Has his man. Still on his feet, finally taken down. At about the 33. So 3rd down and 9. That was Ethan Mahoney on the reception. Crawford again drops back. Now he steps up, rolls out to his right, looking downfield. That pass is intercepted. Intercepted by Jorgensen. And that just might be the play that this Lions team needed to get back into the game. You always talk about a team needing a spark, a turnover, a big punt return, a sack. Lions got one of those. Just under 5 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter. Full receiver set. Satcher in the gun. Flag is down. And it's a false start on the Lions. And penalties are just such momentum killers. Satcher drops back. Now looking deep downfield, has a man. And can't make the connection. About 2 yards in front. He was looking for Caleb Durham. Second down, 15 for the Lions. Hands it off to Hilliard. Making a guy miss and still on his feet. He's a powerful runner, folks. Still going. Muscling his way to the 49, the 44-yard line. There's a flag down. Let's see if it's for something that happened after the play. Officials discussing the call. And if the run stands, Hilliard getting a huge chunk of yards. So it's personal fouls on both sides. Looks like the penalties will offset. So 3rd down. Satcher gives it to Hilliard. And he goes nowhere. He'll lose a couple on that one. Excuse me, last play was 2nd down. So this is 3rd down and 8 for the Lions. Drops back. Satcher looking for Durham. And he can't hold on. And Durham was looking for a flag. Can't believe he didn't get one. Another Lion player is down on the field. And Durham talking with the official, trying to figure out why there wasn't a pass interference called on the defender. And I would be curious to hear the official's argument, because I thought there was a lot of grabbing. Unless there was grabbing on both ends and the official just said let him play. But I thought they were going to throw it. So Zach Dunn was the injured Lion on the play. 4th down. Lions are going to punt. You got to wonder, when does time become a factor when you start going for these 4th downs, even though you're deep in your own territory? Hatch still going. Hatch just a few guys, and he's still on his feet. Finally taken down at the 35-yard line. Malik Hatch with the big return for the Cougars. So Hatch setting up the Cougars with great field position inside the Lions 35, or at the Lions 35, excuse me. Crawford dropping back to throw. Now rolls to his left, has a defender on his tail, steps up, he can run. Picking up inside the 10. And down at the 7-yard line is Jamani Crawford. And the Lions, for the first half, were really able to contain Crawford using his legs, but that has not been the case so far in the second half. Crawford keeps it upfield, and he will score. Cougars looking to make it 20-0. And the Lions are going to call a timeout, second one of the half. So now you're down 2 scores, and you're down to 1 timeout. Still a whole nother quarter of football, but the Lions have got to get something going, and going fast. Because the energy on the defensive side is really starting to go down. Your defense forces the big interception, but the offense can't do anything with it, and now they're back out on the field. So Lions offense really has to get things rolling. Cougars electing to go for 2. Play is blown dead. Looks like they tried to go before the play was done. And intercepted by Cale Odom. Cale Odom will make the 2-point conversion no good. Odom mainly been on the offensive side of the ball the first 2 games, now playing a lot more defense tonight. I'm curious if the Lions just have a lot of guys playing both ways that aren't used to playing both ways, at least at this point in the season, and so they might be gassed a little bit. I remember my senior year, we were playing Hyde Park, and the whole week were primarily going to play with one corner, and then if we played with 2 corners, I was the third corner to go in, and I was having to start on offense for an injured player, Sam Lorillard, who's down on the sidelines tonight. So I had to start on offense. Didn't think I was going to play much defense, but then here comes game day. Number 2 corner is nowhere to be found. He actually ended up being sick, and Hyde Park decided to break their tendencies and went out in the formations that we would use 2 corners with. And so I ended up having to play much more defense and offense both ways that game than I was used to. I remember it was the longest first quarter of my life, and after that first quarter was over, I was gasping for breath. So that could be the situation that some of these guys are in tonight, where they're having to play more on both ways, and their bodies. You can practice it as much as you want, but it still doesn't necessarily match the way it is in a game. So that could be another element going against the Lions tonight. 3 receivers to the top of your screen. And he hits Patterson, muscling his way through. Looks like he'll pick up 8 yards on the play. So good to see Patterson back out there. About 2.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Again, 3 receivers to the top of the screen. Hands it off to number 3. Chris Hilliard. And Hilliard is a guy where he typically does not go down by just one person. He's very, very strong. You cannot arm tackle him. And so if the Lions are able to get him going and get him in rhythm, would be amazing, especially as time really becomes a factor here as you're about to head into the final quarter. So he hits Richard on the screen. Richard going down at the 31-yard line. And the Lions have had success on those screens more often, several times tonight. Just sometimes they have been negated by penalties. So I'll be interested to see if they decide to go back to those as this game continues. False start on the Lions. And so again, here's another situation. On the first down, you pick up a nice gain. You have second and short. The entire playbook is open. Now you're second and long. Now you have to be a bit more. Now remember, it's only second down, so thankfully you can regain some of the yards that you lost. But if you throw an incomplete pass, it's third and long, and your playbook is shrunk significantly because of the down and distance. Fakes the handoff. Now rolls out, scrambles back to his left. Now takes it upfield, still keeping his eyes downfield, and he hits Caleb Durham. What a snag by the receiver. And what a scramble by Grant Satcher, just again keeping his eyes constantly downfield. He has the mobility in his legs to get outside the pocket and make plays, but again, he only will run if that is the last possible option. Keeps his eyes downfield until the last possible second. Gives it to Hilliard. And again, just he's not someone that's going to go down easily. You're going to have to tackle him with multiple guys. Having him back is a huge plus for the Lions. And now it seems like, okay, now it seems like the runs are starting to open up. And again, that just goes back to the Lions deciding to continue to try to run the ball because they want to keep that defense honest. Final closing seconds of the third quarter. Let's see if the Lions are able to get the ball off. Satcher looks frustrated because he looked back and saw the game clock ticking down and was wanting to get the ball off. His receivers down at the bottom. His receivers down at the bottom on the right side, still trying to get set up. So heading to the final quarter, Lions down 19-0. Offense finally starting to put a drive together. And a touchdown on this drive would be huge for the Lions, not just because it cuts into the deficit, but also it gives them some energy and some life. Hey, we're back in this ball game. Hey, we're only down 2 scores. Like, we're right back in this. Lions desperately needing to come away from this drive with a touchdown. What's really interesting about this matchup with Cole is that the previous 2 games, the roster size was significantly in favor of the opposing teams compared to San Antonio Christian. This week, SACS actually has the numbers in terms of roster size in this one. So Satcher looking downfield, got Brandon Richard, and he's unable to haul it in. He had 2 defenders on him. So now you're looking at 3rd and 1. But again, it's 3rd and short. Your entire playbook is open because you're only having to get 1 yard. And that's one of the huge – that's why when you have those penalties like they had earlier, it hurts you so much because it really limits what you can run because of the down and distance. He gives it to Hilliard. He's able to shake a tackle. Now he's got 2 guys on him, and he – goes down. He'll lose a couple yards. There is a flag on the play, though. Let's see what the call is. First up. Dead ball foul on the Cougars. So Cougars going to take a timeout. And it looks like the Lions are going to get another shot to pick up the first down. The penalty is actually going to give the Lions a first down. So it'll be 1st and 10 at the 12-yard line. And this is the farthest the Lions have been in Cougar territory tonight. Gives it to Hilliard. Muscling his way, and he'll pick up. And there's a flag down on the play. Picked up about 2. Excuse me, no, he lost a couple. And it'll be holding on the Lions. Well, there was a parent in the there's a parent in the stands screaming that it was holding, and they were right. So 1st and 20 at the 22. Thatcher dropping back, finds Patterson, still on his feet, reaching towards the 15-yard line. So he'll be able to pick up most of the penalty yards. Still 2nd down and long. Patterson he is another big guy that he's extremely hard to take down, and he will just run you over if you're not ready to tackle him. He's going to run you over. Thatcher under center. Tosses it out to Hilliard. And he is met right at the line of scrimmage. It's just under 10.5 minutes remaining in the ball game. And this is absolutely fourth down territory for the Lions. You're down 3 scores. Just under 10 minutes remaining in the ball game. You can't come away with just a field goal. Thatcher fires downfield. He's got Brendan Richard. And they'll give it to him. Touchdown, Lions. Brendan Richard just snagging it with 2 defenders around him. The Lions are right back in this ball game. Trying to breathe in some new life to this team. Extra point away from making it 19-7. Kick is up. And it is good. Jake Carter with the extra point. So do you try an onside? In my opinion, absolutely not. Give the Cougars the long field to have to try to go down. Give them the long field. Force them to take it all the way down and score. Don't give them the short field. Again, what a catch by Brandon Richard on the touchdown. He's got 2 defenders, and he just reaches out and snags it out of the air. Jorgensen to kick. Short high kick. Fielded at the 41. That was Walker Cunningham for the Cougars. Cunningham making a smart decision to field that, because when you're one of those early reception guys, those players get you pretty quickly. Yeah. So Brooks trying to get to the outside, picks up a couple. So 9.5 minutes remaining. Lions defense really needs to force a 3 and out here and give their offense time to work with. And Crawford again using his legs and his agility before finally getting knocked out of bounds at the 38-yard line. Again, there's line defenders right there, but they're just set a hair short. And he's able to make a big play with his legs. Crawford hands it to Brooks, and he gets taken down by a swarm of Lions. Tanner Bates swallowed him up. Crawford looks for his receiver. Flag on the play. Just a tad too far away from Brandon Richard getting an interception. Would have been the Lions' second turnover of the night. Call appears to be on the Cougars. An eligible man downfield. The 5-yard penalty pushes them back to the 45-yard line. Second down and 17. Crawford finds his man for the screen. Still on his feet. Taken down by the ankles. He's wrapped up at the... See where they spot him. I think he got the first down. Nope, they didn't give it to him. He's just short. Third, probably half a yard. Wouldn't be surprised if Crawford doesn't keep it. Yep, right up the middle. Still going. And finally just thrown down just outside the 20. Under 8 minutes left. Again, the Lions only have one timeout remaining, and now you're in the part of the game where clock really becomes a factor. Crawford dropping back. Finally wrapped up, and he is thrown down by Nick Patterson and Porter Dolsky, getting Crawford down in the backfield. That gets the clock started. Ball down to the 29. Yeah, Nick Patterson is a guy who primarily has been playing offense, now getting some time in defensive line. Porter Dolsky, older brother JT Dolsky, graduated in 2013. Cougars decided to take a timeout. Porter Dolsky's older brother JT, 2013 graduate, got the chance to play with him 2012 season. He's always a character, made practice fun and interesting. Unbelievably athletic. And younger brother making plays. So under 7 minutes remaining. Second down. Crawford flings it out to his running back Brooks. And he was taken down immediately, and I think he lost a few on that play. Yeah, he'll lose about 3. Bring up third down and a mile for the Cougars. This is where Crawford has been able to make plays with his legs. Drops back, looks for his man, overthrew him. Josh Morales on the coverage. He was looking for Tyler Barr. Just a few yards too far ahead. Flag down. Chop block on the Cougars. Interesting decision to accept the penalty because now, yes, it's third down in, let's just say 2 miles, but you run, what if they do get it? Or now they get into field goal range. Interesting decision. Crawford motions his receiver. Drops back. And, Brooks had it, but just was in his hands, just unable to haul it in. Excuse me, Malik Hatch. There was only one Lion in the area. If he caught it, probably had the opportunity to try to make a guy miss and pick up some more yards. Gonzalez back to punt. And Durham's just going to let this one bounce. And they're going to down that inside the 1. I'm surprised they gave it to him because it looked like the Cougar that touched the football rolled into the end zone, and I thought, to me, it looked like he got into the end zone before downing the football. I think that should be a touchback. So the Lions are going to have to go 99.5 yards. And time is really becoming a factor as there is 5:40 remaining, and they are down 2 scores. This Lions team has the ability to score quickly. They have not been able to do it that well this season, or in this game and the game against Bandera. They're going to need to score as fast as they can. Satcher ups back. And he was looking for Patterson. And Patterson was able to haul in the catch. This brings up 2nd and 3. And more importantly, it gets the Lions out of being right back behind, being in their own end zone. Hilliard on the run is able to pick up the first down for the Lions. And again, the clock is ticking, under 5 minutes left. Three receivers to the top of your screen. Thatcher gives it to Hilliard again, and ball's on the ground. And I think the Lions were able to recover it. Ethan Sanders, the freshman offensive lineman, able to fall on the football. Lions catching a huge break. 2nd down. Satcher hits Brandon Richard. He's able to get upfield. Knocked out of bounds at about the 25. And that'll be enough for the first down. So Lions, again, able to move the football, but now the clock is really working against them. Satcher looking deep downfield, going for Patterson. Patterson talking with Josh Beatty, who looks like got in front of Patterson's route. I actually think he led to that ball being deflected, but tries it again for Patterson and a little high this time. Yeah, Beatty was right on top, or right underneath Patterson. It really looked like the routes. Beatty ran the wrong route. So 3rd down and 10. Double reverse to Richard, trying to stay in bounds, just unable to get upfield. And it's going to be 4th down. And do the Lions go for it? You really do need to go for it, but you're so far back into your own territory that you give the Cougars such a short field to work with. But they're going for it. Satcher looking deep. And I don't know if he got hit as he threw, but the ball was off the mark. And the Cougars are going to take over on offense as the Lions failed to convert. So Cougars with the football, 3.5 minutes remaining. And if I'm Cole, I am running the clock. I'm running the football and trying to run out the clock because the Lions can only stop it one more time. Crawford decides to keep it up the middle of the field. And taken down by Connor Schroep. Shorp, excuse me. Shorp. Connor Shorp. So now just under 3 minutes left in this ball game. Crawford rolls out, tucks it, back up the middle. He's got a lane. Touchdown. Gonzalez out to attempt the extra point. No good. So after the failed point after, Cole leads San Antonio Christian 25-7. 2 minutes, 42 seconds remaining. Both teams can stop the clock only one more time. Kick is away, squib kick. And Evan Russell Again, recovering the kickoff. Lions get the ball, 1st and 10. And Satcher rolling out to his right. Now he's got to step up, trying to escape, and just gets sandwiched by 2 defenders. Again, trying to make a play, but when you have a trio of green jerseys coming at you, it's really hard to keep your eyes downfield. Satcher looking for Caleb Durham, but a little bit behind on that throw. 2:04 left in the game. 3rd down. Third down and a mile. 3rd down and 19. Tosses out to Hilliard. Diving forward, and it looks like he'll get back to the original line of scrimmage, but that will be it. Two minutes left. See if the Lions will elect to go for it again. Looks like they will. Satcher trying to make something out of nothing. And that pass is intercepted. Satcher hit as he let it go. And he was a little slow to get up. And he really took a shot on that throw. So 1:24 left. Cougars get the ball. The interesting thing about the interception is that if the defender just batted it away, they actually would get better field position. They say that's the only time if you're a defender to not intercept the football is on a 4th down. And Cole is going to take a knee. Well, Lions defense were able to keep the Cougars in check for the most part of the first half, but the offense really started going in the second. Lions were able to finally generate some offense late, but it was too little too late for the Lions. Just under a minute remaining in the ball game. And that should do it. And it will. The final from, excuse me, we still 20 seconds left. But both teams lining up to shake hands. And that'll do it. The final from tonight, the Cole Cougars 25, San Antonio Christian Lions 7. Lions are going to have to fix their problem with penalties because it's same song, different verse this week compared to the last two. going one step forward, two steps back, with penalties being drive killers. Again, a good outing by the defense, but the offense is going to have to improve if the Lions want to make a late season push. But the biggest thing, Lions do now have a bye week, and they have their high school retreat. And I know from my own personal experience, oftentimes retreat, depending on how the season goes, if it's a rough start, it can get pretty heated amongst players, but it also leaves room for a lot of growth. It's a time to really just say, hey, look, I love you as my teammate, but you're not pulling your weight. And you know, this guy needs to step up, this, that, and the other, or we need to work on this as a team. So rough first 3 games, really rough first 2, because the Bandera game, it really came down to, it was a rain out. If that game had been able to continue, the Lions might, probably could have won that game. But again, retreat coming up, chance for some guys that are banged up to get a little healthy, and then it comes for real. So thanks for tuning in tonight for the first road broadcast of the Lions on YouTube Live. I'm Hunter Smith, and you won't be hearing from me for a week, but then we're back on the road again next week. So thanks for tuning in. Everyone have a good night.